Hi, everybody, and welcome back. As we wrap up our first full week of November, we do so with only a few tweaks to your weather forecast. We're still staring down the same cold front that's going to give us definitely some changes in the weather for the weekend. No major changes from 24 hours ago, but a few tweaks to be made, especially on the long end of the forecast, and we'll get to those in just a few moments. Headlines tonight will include a suspicious fire very early this morning in Magoffin County. I'll take you to the scene. Also, a special announcement about a special event tomorrow for the most special of people that's out and ahead of Veterans Day, which falls on Wednesday of next week. And we'll talk about that invitation to a lot of veterans and who it is extended by. Also, a few things announced by our to-be governor. Matt Bevin has said there's already a couple of things that he plans to do away with. We'll tell you what they are. And we'll listen in on a voicemail that was left for actually a relative and viewer. And it's from someone portraying themselves as the IRS, claiming a lawsuit against an individual, as has been happening in numerous counties on numerous occasions here as of late. We'll talk about a scam that's been ongoing, and it's similar to those which happen all the time, and also the IRS has issued a warning, and I'll have all of that and many more announcements and other headlines to follow. We'll check in on our neighbors in eastern Kentucky and a few different places before we get to our local news. And first off, we have an update from the Kentucky State Police. They have identified the individual that was killed in that traffic fatality in Pike County yesterday that I spoke of briefly last night. Their preliminary investigation by Kentucky State Police at Post 9 says that 49-year-old Gordon Haynes of Elkhorn City was driving southbound on Kentucky 197 in Elkhorn Creek when the vehicle he was operating, a Chevrolet Camaro, crossed into the path of a GMC pickup truck. In that pickup truck, 7 occupants, 6 of which were taken to the Pikeville Medical Center to be treated for injuries that they sustained. One of those occupants was airlifted from the scene to the UK Medical Center. As for Haynes, he did suffer fatal injuries in the collision, and he was actually pronounced dead at the scene by the Pike County Deputy Coroner, specifically Denver Bailey. The accident remains under investigation. The State Police says that there is evidence at the scene that indicates that Haynes was not wearing his seatbelt at the time of the collision. And taxes going up everywhere, and more than threefold in one eastern Kentucky county, and it's got some folks up in arms. What we know as of right now is that the Martin County Fiscal Court has adopted an ordinance in its regular session meeting earlier this week that will increase the county's property tax rate more than threefold, and they've set a second reading to make it official for later on this month, next week on the 12th, which is next Thursday. There's also a hearing that's been set for the same day, just about an hour or two prior, a public meeting that will be held at 4 o'clock that afternoon to seek input on the matter. The property tax rate before this was just over 11 cents, actually 11.09 cents per every $100 of valuation. The fiscal court has approved a rate of 38.07 cents. Martin County Judge Executive Kelly Callahan has explained that they have not taken the compensating rate, which is allowed and suggested to some degree by the state, if you will, for many, many years. And he actually says they haven't changed the tax rate in that county in 26 years, keeping it the same and not taking even the compensating rate, and now they are forced to do something. The current tax rate, he says, generates about $407,000 per annum. It will at least this next fiscal year, if they are allowed to, and if they do approve the second reading and this proposed tax hike, it would generate $1.4 million based on that 38.07 cents per every $100 of valuation. They also are slating that money is greatly needed to go towards a great many projects, roads, bridges, disposal of solid waste, parks, and a list of other improvements they need to make to that county. We'll keep you up to date as that meeting is set for, once again, those 2 meetings next Thursday. A reminder of something I mentioned, I think it was yesterday, a planned electrical outage that's scheduled for downtown West Liberty tomorrow to allow for services to be moved from an existing power line to a new one. And this is going to affect 3 traffic signals along US 460 and Kentucky 7, signals at Prestonsburg Street and Main Street, Prestonsburg Street and Broadway, and Main and Court Street will be affected. They say electrical service is scheduled to be out from 9 o'clock in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. Some folks might start to come online earlier than that. They hope to have everyone back online. And that time frame, once again, 9 till 2. Flaggers, they say, are going to provide traffic control at those intersections, and temporary traffic control devices will also be utilized tomorrow. And next Monday is a busy meeting day. The regular session meetings of the Paintsville City Council and the Johnson County Fiscal Court are set for this Monday. Per my knowledge, I don't have an agenda from the Paintsville City Council. It is their regular meeting day. The Johnson County Fiscal Court is set to meet. Items on the brief agenda include approval of bills as well as personnel, road department discussion, Kentucky Department of Homeland Security resolution, and honoring Johnson County Middle School State Championship football team members. Headlines, other than what I have just mentioned, of course, are coming up right after the break. A very suspicious and very early fire destroyed a structure still unknown as to the exact type of which and the exact ownership. Nevertheless, a structure was seen completely engulfed in flames by passersby on New 460 in Magoffin County around 5:30 this morning. First, a few things that we do know at this hour. The call came in around 5:30 this morning to Magoffin County 911. A motorist noticed the massive amount of flames coming from up on this knoll just off of New 460, and the Sayersville Fire Department responded. It was there that they found what was left of a structure that had been fully engulfed in flames, basically lying on the ground at that point. We know that there was no severe weather in the area, therefore no lightning. There was also no utilities on the structure either. It's believed to be possibly a barn or an outbuilding of some nature. As for the location, it's still commonly referred to as the old skating rink building and perhaps always will be, but actually up on behind it, the skating rink building, not affected, but there's a house seat where a house that used to belong to a coffee residence burned several years ago, and way back behind it is where the structure sat. Most of the firemen responding didn't even know that there was indeed a structure there that sat next to another small outbuilding. There appeared to be some sort of a livestock gate attached, and other than that, little else is known. Fire Chief Paul Howard, who I spoke with just a few moments ago, said that he still hadn't been contacted by any of the property owners and was unsure as to who the property owner was. He was sure, though, that it had to be some sort of an arson, as there were no utilities and, once again, no weather conditions that would have related to any sort of fire in that area. It did also cause some problems. The blaze was tall enough and hot enough to burn into some utility lines. A secondary power line, he says, did burn into and fell to the ground, but it was secondary and didn't relate or result in any issues power-wise. However, cable, phone, and television may have been an issue for some residents in that area, as those utility cables were also a victim. Howard says the cause of the fire is still under investigation, as are other facets that I mentioned, including the ownership of the building and indeed what kind of structure it was, and also what may have been lost, if anything, inside. Every so often, more so than what I like, we have to tell you about a scam, about some other individual or group thereof trying to deceive you or I or someone we know or love or live next to out of their hard-earned money. And it happens, well, as I said, quite often. In this particular case, it is again a similar scam that we have heard of. It was also one that reached very close to the studio earlier this week, actually yesterday afternoon, where someone who owns this voice portrayed themselves as a member of the Internal Revenue Service who was threatening lawsuit against this individual.
You have 2 old messages. Thursday, 9:03 a.m.
This call is officially a final notice from IRS, Internal Revenue Services. The reason of this call is to inform you that IRS is filing lawsuit against you. To get more information about this case file, please call immediately on our department number 346-971-6231. I repeat, 346-971-6231. Thank you.
Law enforcement officials across eastern Kentucky and across the state are reporting a similar scam involving someone calling, saying they're with the IRS, attempting to get personal information, threatening lawsuit against delinquent taxes. Most calls have been targeted toward our senior citizens, or have been placed on someone saying that they are calling on behalf of a senior citizens representative, possibly even. Anyone who receives a similar call, you need to take down the number, and then there is an IRS impersonation scam line that you can reach at 1-800-366-4484. This is the number that this particular call came from, but that really doesn't mean a whole lot. It also showed to be from the state of Texas. But the IRS tells us in a press release tonight that they are continuing to warn consumers to guard against scam phone calls from thieves intent on stealing our money or identity. They say scammers make unsolicited calls. Thieves call taxpayers claiming to be IRS officials and demand the victim pay a bogus tax bill. Try to con the victim into sending cash, usually through a prepaid debit card or wire transfer. They also try to scare their victims. They use caller ID spoofing, in which scammers often alter caller ID messages or information, as you see here, to make it look like maybe an IRS number or that they're calling from a legitimate state or area. They try new tricks all the time, so we have to always be on guard. And scams cost victims over $23 million. The Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, or TIGTA, has received reports of about 736,000 scam contacts since October of 2013, and in those, nearly 4,550 victims have collectively paid over $23 million as a result of a scam. Big business for the folks on the other side of that line. The IRS says they will not call you and demand any sort of immediate payment. They will not call you if you owe taxes without first sending you a bill in the mail. They won't demand that you pay taxes and not allow you to question the appeal amount or anything that you owe. They won't require that you pay your taxes in any certain way. They won't ask you for your credit or debit card numbers over the phone, and they won't threaten to bring in police or other agencies to arrest you for not paying. Still more headlines, including a very special event tomorrow, a special invitation for all of our veterans. I'll tell you about that in just a few moments in our other headline or two. Right now, let's find out what's happening on this evening's Magoffin Farm Bureau community calendar. Hey, Stephen Hilton, happy birthday. I am told to say happy birthday to Stephen Hilton. Love Jesse, Samuel, Mag, Melvin, family, and friends. Happy birthday to you. A reminder, we just learned yesterday about the alumni games tomorrow at the Magoffin County High School, so I want to make sure we mention it again. It's alumni basketball. The younger kids start playing at 11 in the morning. There will be a ladies' alumni game at 6, a men's alumni game at 7. Basketball all day, and a good day to be indoors. They'll also have some great concessions, some great hot dogs with homemade sauce and other items. Be sure you stop by. Also tomorrow, the Hope Conference at the Ramada Inn, the Conference Center at the Ramada over in Paintsville. You can register at 9. It starts at 10 with Dory Phillips and Dr. Randy and Renee Caldwell, sponsored by the Jordan Light Foundation. This event once again tomorrow morning at 10 at the Ramada in Paintsville. Also on tap for this weekend from our friends at Kearney Free Will Baptist. They're having Pickin' and Grinning this Saturday night, tomorrow night, starting at 7. And Pastor Butch Whitaker and everyone at Kearney Free Will Baptist Church invite you to come on over and have a wonderful evening with them. I've also got another local church who has a special event this weekend. This one comes to us from the Community Free Will Baptist Church, about 2 miles outside of Sagersville on Route 40. Well, this Sunday for services starting at 11, they'll have Tones of Faith singing. That's right, the Tones of Faith singers at the Community Free Will Baptist Church. Come and join them for a wonderful time in the Lord and a soup bean dinner afterwards. Pastor Matt Cottle invites you all. And you are invited and encouraged to save a life. Maybe even someone you know. You just never know, and that's the point. The Kentucky Blood Center Blood Mobile will be in town this Monday, 12:30 till 5, at the Highlands After Hours building there behind the Sagersville Subway. So if you can, please stop by and help support their cause and help save a life. And maybe even as many as 3 with a donation of just 1 pint of blood. You're in, you're out. It's simple, it's easy, and basically painless, even though that's not the common conception. It really is. But they'll be there Monday, 12:30 till 5. And I have a reminder that fresh pecans are in at the Magoffin County Women's Club, $10 per bag. They'll be gone before you know it, so call to get yours today, 794-0316 or 349-5918. And I know now that does it for tonight's calendar announcements, with one quick reminder on how you can get your announcements on the show. That's birthdays, anniversaries, and otherwise. And you can mail, phone, fax, email, Facebook, drop them off here at the studio any way you like, and we'll tell everyone about it. And remember, you can catch the program the following day on our website at yournewstoday.com. We've got one local funeral service announcement this evening in honor of 47-year-old Gladys Marie Perkins Watson of Allen Drive, who passed away this week on Wednesday. She's survived by her daughters Danielle Morales, Christy DeSoto, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, my apologies, Nikita De La Cruz, and Cheryl Sims. Visitation will be after 4 o'clock this Sunday, continue all day Monday, and then prior to services that are set to start Tuesday at noon from the Bethlehem to Calvary Church. Burial will be at the Perkins Cemetery on Sugar Camp, while arrangements are being held and conducted by the Magoffin County Funeral Home. So far, two things our newly elected governor says he is going to do away with as soon as he is in office. He also says that he has plans on putting a cabinet in place in the soon coming days. And a couple of those major changes are things that are making major headlines and have for some time. Today, in his very first press conference at the State House as governor-elect of the Commonwealth of Kentucky, he says he will eliminate and do away completely with Connect, Kentucky's version of Obamacare or the Affordable Health Care Act, and he said he will do so by the end of 2016. He also said another one of his very first duties in office, once he is sworn in, is to sign and execute an executive order striking the names of county clerks from marriage licenses in an effort to eliminate at least some or all future controversy, as we have seen, of course, surrounding this year, when Rowan County Court Clerk Kim Davis declined to issue marriage licenses and then, of course, went to jail in defiance of the U.S. Supreme Court ruling instructing her to do so. Bevin says that he will make appointments to his cabinet next week, general counsel, chief of staff being some of the very first ones to be made. He also says that as far as Connect is concerned, he called it redundant. He said it was basically the equivalent of Kentucky paying for the same service twice. He also said that there are 35 states, if not more, in the entire United States that do not have similar programs as Connect in the state of Kentucky, and that he sees no reason for us to be one of the few that does. There are about 500,000 Kentuckians right now who are under the umbrella of Connect, if you will. And the governor-elect says that when the open enrollment period comes to be, he says that his administration will have in place a process to help people transition from the state level to the federal level of Obamacare or the Affordable Health Care Act. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had the wonderful opportunity of doing the following report with these folks, and it was then that they told me about a special event that they had planned, which falls on tomorrow, a very special event for our veterans, just a few days ahead of Veterans Day. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity of meeting with the Family Resource Youth Service Centers of our elementary schools in Magoffin County, as well as the Sayersville Masonic Lodge, to find out about one of the annual events they do in an effort to help support the community.
And we made up $1,400 on that trail ride, and then the lodge donated $500, and then one of the lodge members donated another $100. Walmart is going to donate us another $100 when we get over there. And this is very much needed in the county. We have a lot of poor families. I was raised up in a poor family, and this is going to go a long way to help those kids in our school system, and we're proud to be a sponsor of Coach for Kids. Masonic Lodge also, we sponsor a Little League team every year, and we give scholarships to a senior going to college every year, and this past year we gave $1,000 to the principal to help some needy senior that maybe go on a trip or buy a prom dress or something like that. And we're not shown out in the community very much, but we're very much interested in helping the community and being a part of the community, and that's what Masonry is all about, is brothers helping brothers and brothers helping needy families.
So as you just heard, and as you heard hopefully when you watched that report for the first time a few weeks ago, our Sayersville Masonic Lodge, which has been around for well more than 100 years now, does a great deal for our community. And tomorrow they want to do a great meal for our veterans. They have a Veterans Appreciation Dinner set for tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And if they haven't reached all the veterans out there, they asked me to make sure that we got the word out. I actually ran into a current master, Brad Blair, during a funeral service at the funeral home, of which today our local DAV was there, of course, giving military rights to a fallen soldier, a local man who has passed away. And, of course, our DAV, a group of individuals dedicated to their cause and that of similar like-minded veterans. And they will be in attendance tomorrow for the most part, I'm sure, if not all of them, and they hope that all veterans of Magoffin County will also be able to join them. It's 4 o'clock tomorrow at the Lodge Hall. Now, that is behind the Magoffin County courthouse, not the Justice, well, behind the Justice Center, too, as a matter of fact, but in their Lodge Hall, which has been there for years. Plenty of parking, 4 o'clock tomorrow, and I'm told an absolutely wonderful meal and a special invitation to all veterans for their appreciation dinner tomorrow. And this, of course, out and ahead of Veterans Day, which once again falls on the 11th day of November, obviously, but this year on this coming Wednesday. Falling right now, well, current temperatures outside. It's time for your Licking Valley RECC forecast. We're only going to fall to 50 tonight. It's going to be nice and mild. We do have a continued chance of some showers. We also have cloudy skies, and we have colder air, as we have talked about basically all week long, filtering in behind the cold front that is coming through literally as we speak. And we're going to see temperatures tomorrow very responded to that. We're talking about your Saturday warming up, if you will, to close to 60. 59, I think, is probably a good bet. Becoming mostly sunny. The clouds tonight will hang on in throughout the early morning hours. They will start to clear. And actually, I've got a 30% chance of showers, mainly before 8 tomorrow. I hope to be asleep until at least that point and wake up with the sun out. I don't know if that'll work out for myself or not. Maybe for you it will. We'll see temperatures, though, start to even or continue to cool off for your Sunday. 55, sunny and clear, but cold. 55 for your high, 34 for your low. We do rebound next week, and we also see some more activity in the form of some possible, at least, precipitation. I think Monday we'll see around 61, mostly sunny, but a 20% chance of some showers developing Monday afternoon around 1 o'clock or so, and that threat increases on and throughout Monday evening and Monday night. By the time Tuesday gets here, we should see mid-60s, a 30% chance of showers up until around 11 o'clock Tuesday morning of next week, and we'll see temperatures for nighttime lows right around the 49 degree mark or so. There's my video finally catching up. And then for midweek next week, which is indeed Veterans Day, I'm glad to report that it's going to be pretty warm. We will hit, I do believe, as of right now, 70 degrees on Veterans Day. We'll do it with some sunshine above, and we'll also do it with about a 20% early and a 30% chance of some showers that evening. But nevertheless, it's going to be relatively mild and above average for Veterans Day. We'll hopefully find out more about any planned activities early next week here in Magoffin County in the viewing area for Veterans Day and tell you about them then. And that's going to wrap it up for what has been a very hectic, busy, and news-filled week. And in retrospect, just like every other week around here, which is a good thing. Glad to have you watching and being a part of the show as always. We sincerely hope that you have a wonderful and safe weekend. Don't forget, tomorrow is the alumni game at the Magoffin County High School. Those games start at 11, and the ladies' game at the end of the evening is at 6, I believe, as I said earlier, and the men's is at 7. They'll have plenty of concessions. I know they got some really good hot dog sauce and some things of that nature they're going to have for sale. So venture up at some point to the Magoffin County High School. Our children, and I say that collectively, we'll be there starting at around 11 o'clock in the morning, and then, of course, games will continue throughout the day and evening. They hope that you'll join them for at least a little bit of it. I hope you join us back here next week after what I hope is a wonderful and safe, albeit colder, weekend for all. Thank you and good night.